today is going to really focus on assessing how far we've gone from the first three factors. That's the GRO factor. G being the ground and foundation factor. And we talked about relationship factor, then we just ended opportunity factor. So it's important that all the assessment, the exercises, the assignment, the tests that you've conducted, all add up to show some kind of progress. Okay. Whether you are taking the snail process or you are using the hair process, because you can have a snail process where you take a step at a time. And sometimes you have to wait, ponder, ruminate, you take deep breath before you take the next hurdle. But for a hair will keep hopping. As much as you grab, you hop to the next phase and up to the next phase. Whichever one, you need to ensure that every decision, every action is leading to progress. You are not remaining stagnant. You are not in the same position. Otherwise, the whole essence is going to be defeated. Okay. So it's part of why we need to look at this in critical evaluation. So, what has the growth experience been like? Have you in any way experienced any form of progress, right? Progress in terms of, it can be as simple as you just saying the need to reevaluate the goals you've set, the resolutions you've made, some past decisions you've taken, some of the efforts you think you're going to make this year. Those are the kind of examples of progress that you need to reflect on. How has this new area of knowledge acquisition, or more like an expose, how has it really given you a leverage in rethinking and redirecting your life? Okay. Or perhaps in the past 3 weeks, because 3 weeks is a whole lot of time for you to record some level of success. Has anything happened that you can account for as an achievement, as a result of this level of improvement? So these are some of the things that I want us to reflect on, so that, because it's like you trying to give a testimonial in order for you to be able to further encourage yourself. Little success, like we mentioned, I think it was on day, is it 16 or 17, when we're talking about you rewarding yourself, is important. You don't need to wait until the big thing happen. You have to appreciate the little progressive steps you take towards your success and towards your goal, in order for you to be able to get the right motivation from within that will spur you to want to do more and go extra mile, right? Even though you might not have cheerleaders around you, but from within there are certain level of encouragement. So we'll start from the first one, which has to do with if you have noticed any difference. Okay. So just imagine you are trying to create an achievement scorecard. So there are certain questions you need to ask yourself as you want to score yourself. Number one is, are there been any significant accomplishments you've achieved in your career? Okay. Has there been any significant achievements? Maybe the way you've been approaching your job or your career generally, you have a new orientation. When we discuss about purpose in week one on the ground and laying foundation. So has there been any significant accomplishment or significant turnaround in the way you're approaching your career or handling your career? Then the other one is, how have you, improved on your skill level in terms of all the skills you think you have honed? How has it evolved in the past 3 weeks? Maybe you think you have emotional intelligence. Now, having conducted that, you see the level at which you are now. In fact, all the people that have submitted, nobody have high EQ. I'm surprised because I was expecting at least one person will be able to have attained high EQ. And maybe you don't know how to do the final score, because when you print out your scorecard, you print out your assessment report, what they will tell you and what you're going to see is your score for each of the five domains, each of the five areas subject areas within the EQ, right? So you need to do the mean. Okay, the mean is what gives you the actual assessment figure. So imagine if you score 50, 50, 50 in whole, so it's going to be 50 divided by 5. That mean is your actual score. So then you know where you stand. But the analysis will now be that anywhere you have um, in red, not in green, that means you need to prioritize those areas for critical improvement. But areas where you score green, it's just that there's room for continuous improvement, but you are doing well actually in those areas. So, I mean, those are just the simple way by which you can evaluate and reflect on what has been your disposition or personality so far, then the skills that you need to actually evolve or you need to recreate around yourself. Then the other one will now be in terms of how you have now perceived leadership role, based on your personality type. When we spoke and discussed about leadership skills as part of what you can leverage on for you to be able to seize opportunities, see and seek and seize opportunity, So are there any leadership role in the past 3 weeks that you think you have actually, assume or you're responsible for now? It might just be within your small team, taking initiative. You're looking for people that can do something and you just volunteer and all of that. So, I mean, these are simple wins, low hanging fruits that I want you to look within, because when I'm saying practicalize, when I'm saying you going back to begin to act in the direction of growth, this is exactly what it means, right? Either you have been doing the assessment or not, because opportunity abounds on a daily basis for you to practicalize all these principles. But if you are not intentional about it, by doing self-reflection, okay, and also by making necessary structural adjustments, it will be very difficult for you to make sense with them. It's just like someone who continue to acquire knowledge, getting fatter and fatter and fatter, and yet is not considering um, a weight balance, So you just, at the end of the day, just become a glutton, or so to speak. So that's part of what this is all about. So put that in one bucket, because I'm still going to come back to each of us. Then the other one is now for you to look at what are the challenges and struggles. Having heard all these new principles or coming to terms with these principles, right? Are there still specific areas of challenges that you're facing, as regards your foundation, as regards your personality type, knowing who you are, being self-aware, then moving into the area of owning some skills, your emotional intelligence, your leadership skills, how you relate with people. Are there specific challenges or struggles which seems to be nagging? Is not ungiven, is not an aberration if you still have them, but you need to be able to discuss about them in order to be able to find solution around them. So, because these at the end of the day becomes major obstacles, right? You can't move forward. They make you, sometimes it can even retard your growth. Okay, when some challenges becomes institutional to you, when some struggles become more like part and parcel of your living, they become obstacles because you can't see beyond the limitation of your struggles and challenges. So you need to reflect on how you need to overcome them. And those ones that you've overcome, you also need to reflect what are the strategies. Is it that you've been able to implement some of these principles to get wins? Okay, so you need to reflect and document those things, because that's what has helped me in order for me to be able to share some of these things with you. If I've not been taking note of them, they will not be recognizable logical experience for me, because they are not just only being documented, they are now evidential experience. They are evidential points at which I've been able to trafficate or define the path of my trajectory in life. Then the area of whatever mistakes we've also made is also very important, because, like I mentioned to you, failures are part of the journey in succeeding. Okay, so you need to also take account of those mistakes. Uh, Yesterday, when we are talking about decision making, it's not everybody that has that honed that skill. So it's possible you've made some silly mistakes or you've taken wrong decisions, even in the course of these 3 weeks, because we make decisions and make choices on a daily basis, you know. So what had that been like, you know? And I know there's a particular assignment I gave around this. If you have done the assignment, I'm sure that you should be able to have something to say about this. So, I mean, these are just generally what I want us to really look like. I think I still have one more. Okay. So this talks about the skills and the knowledge you have acquired. I know some of us already shared this, you know. So in setting new goals based on this reflection, you should now be able to know specific areas of knowledge acquisition that you want to pursue. Okay, are there specific certifications? For instance, in terms of EQ, what we just did was just on a peripheral. It's just, you know, trying to introduce you into EQ. EQ is deeper than that. I told you how I had to get to the point of doing NLP, you know. So NLP is another field entirely, you know, when it comes to emotional intelligence. So I mean, so you might want to decide to now begin to tailor these principles into specific areas of your life, and then having proven competencies, because that's what certifications, that's why this you're also going to be given, okay, because in the future when you're looking back, you should be able to remind yourself that you have acquired this knowledge, you've been able to practically implement that in your life through series of reflections, and of course committing to continuous improvement. So that will be more like a memorial and a reminder to you that you are competent in this area. So these are part of the things that you might also want to commit yourself to and make decisions on. So these are the kind of reflections I want us to have, so that we'll be able to still further address before we now move into the final next 3 weeks. So the floor is open. Let's have further conversation. So who's going to go first? And basically, like I said, what you want to focus on, if you're going to pick maybe some challenges, if you're going to pick some areas that you are focusing on based on what you have been exposed to, for you to redirect your goals, you might want to talk to us about those goals and then what you are resetting. Some of us have reached out, have helped you out in some of, I mean, I can, because again, this speaks to personality type. It's not everybody that is expressive. It's not everybody. So sometimes you might want to leverage on a communal effort to grow. Okay, you might want to leverage on. So I'm saying this so that generally we don't keep to ourselves some of the things that is already working for us, because someone here who is not expressive enough might need that which is already working for you to be a motivation that will strike the inner motivation within him or her. So that's why I want us to have this collective reflection and then be able to now move forward. Okay, so let me open the floor for conversation. Anybody, you can just unmute and let's have you. Sure, which man, Biro? It seems only the ladies that spoken earlier, so I think the men should unmute and speak now. Are we there?
Yes, good evening, sir.
Okay, yeah, good evening.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and the privilege to be part of this mentorship class. And I think I just come through the registration. I left the page one. I don't know how it even pop up, though I know I've been following you. So I don't even expect it. I just registered anyhow, not really expecting much to be kind of. I'm not really expecting much to this to what I've been able to actually get so far as far as the class is concerned. Of course, this is not the first time I'm actually meeting you. So I've met you before when I was in Ife. You were invited for a program, and since then I've been following you on LinkedIn actually and looking for an opportunity to actually connect with you. So being able to actually be part of this class is just like since I've been kind of looking for. Funny enough, as I said earlier, I don't know it's going to actually, be to this extent because, to be candid, this the last 20 days has been so much impactful as I'm concerned in terms of the way I even think, the way I reason, the way I try to manage myself, manage my time, and just try to reevaluate some of my uh reevaluate myself generally actually, and especially in terms of emotional emotion management like EQ. I know personally, like it's part of what I actually plan to work on this year. That's I'm the kind of person that I'm emotional. Like I know that I'm so emotional, and I have a kind of low emotional quotient. I know that personally. Like I know that, and listening to the class and listening to how I can try to manage myself and leverage on my strengths and weaknesses has really make me make me better of myself, and I can truly say that there's truly improvement in terms of how I try to even manage people, manage myself, relate with people and everything. And also the classes that really stood out for me is a class where we try to talk about identifying our strengths, identifying our weakness. Of course, it's still about the emotional content and everything, identifying our strengths, our weakness, and leveraging on it. Because initially, all my perspective is that even having a certain weaknesses should be covered up. But the truth is that there's a way we can actually, work around it to make and still derive whatsoever we want to achieve our goal short. There's a way we can, you know, everybody, no matter how perfect, how good you are, there's still places, there are still areas you are still weak on. There are still weaknesses, regardless of who you are. You may be smart, you may be diligent, you may know everything, still have a weakness, but there's a way to actually still work on it, which I've been able to actually understand better as far as the during this class and everything. And also, one of my key area this year is to actually also learn more about leadership and everything. And during this class, I've been able to establish the route towards it, establish a better route towards it in achieving this specific. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bero. It's so good to hear this that you are actually making progress, and the fact that you set some key objectives for yourself and you're already aligning with some of the principles here is also a very good thing. Um, these are just more like giving you um, an exposure to what you need to really seek for. That's why some of them I stopped giving because I have more books that could have given to some of these principles. Like shortly before I jump into the session, I was still looking through my library and I saw some past wonderful books I've read in the past on leadership. I'm like, oh wow, should I send this? Okay, let me not send because I've already given you almost about 4 or 5 books already, which I'm not sure everyone would have finished reading. So I mean, it's to tell you that there is so much more room for improvement, so much more room, for you to be able to pursue the direction. So feel free at any point in time. I know some of you that have reached out to me, some we are yet to meet. Don't worry. I mean, I will definitely ensure that I schedule time. I'll put it on my calendar this week. If you don't hear from me, make sure you send a reminder to me. We'll have those one-on-one conversation and see how I can still be of good help for you, for you to be able to achieve. And if it's required for me to give you some of direction into some books that would help you, you know, uh, um, you have to gradually take those bold steps, right? Some you would just have to take, the bold step within a very short period of time. But those that would need guidance over a period of time, maybe for the next 2, 3, 4 months, for you to be able to perfect your decision making process, I mean, I'll be on the other side to guide you through that and see how I can place you in the right path. So thank you for that. Okay, any other person from the main? Any
Okay,
other
sir. Good evening,
person?
sir.
Okay, good evening.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you for this opportunity and the privilege. I would say for me, it has really brought me out of my shell, and it has really changed my perception and perspective about things and life. It has really take out those limitations from my mind, those limitations, the possibilities I once do not see or do not want to actually try out or think I can't arrive at or achieve. But now I've been able to see a lot about myself, a lot that I can do, and a lot that I can also make happen within a short period of time. I've been able to learn how to also be productive. I've been able to learn some new skills like planning, like actually setting goals and actually chasing them, and just a lot. And I've been able to also understand the emotional EQ thing, also know my personality because before now, I actually made some mistakes based on emotion, based on how I judge things, based on how I see things, and it has actually cost me a lot in life. Like scenarios like whereby I just resigned my job and not and things like that. But after going through some sessions in this in this class, I've actually learned better how to also manage things because this week some situation also come like the challenges like I've always experienced before. But the way at which I manage them and I overcome them and some criticism also and I moved away from them actually shows and validates the fact that yes, something has really changed in my mindset. In my mindset, something has really changed in me and I think it's a good one. So I've learned so much. Learned that for one to remain relevant in life, one to remain like relevant, be of relevant, one need to embrace continuous learning. So it's actually a good thing for me. So I think so many perspectives about me, brought me out of my shell, the things I really don't want to try, the steps, oh, I can't do this, the fixed mindset I once had it has changed now to a growth mindset. I want to grow, I really want to explore, I really want to learn. So that also made me set goals on learning further skills and taking further course to improve myself. Before now, I would just want side facet about my life, just my spiritual aspect, probably maybe finance or career. But now I've seen the need to really develop myself and to really focus on those area of strength. Yeah. Also before now, I would also notice that through experiences of life, I've been marketing or I've been exposing my areas of vulnerability, that's the area of weakness to people. So uh, not really maximizing my strength. So the few sessions I've had in this course, I've learned so much. Oh wow, this is what has been a challenge. So now my idea has changed now to okay, these are my strengths, these are my area of passion. So for me to be productive or for me to actually do well, I have to consider these areas and I have to actually pattern my career or whatever I'm doing on this area, even my relationship on this area, so that they won't, no matter how many strength I have, but when it's only the weaknesses people often see because I've not been able to manage them. But now I've been able to understand how I can effectively manage those weak side. Yes, they may still be there, but I'm portraying the strength. portraying the strengths so that I can actually I want. And so it's actually a win-win one for me, sir. I would say it's a real privilege, and I'm grateful. Thank you so much, sir.
Good. Thank you too for sharing your experience so far. And it's gladdening. It's a good thing to know how this has impacted your disposition, and especially in the area of EQ that you mentioned. Like I said, you shouldn't go through this journey and this program in the end and remain the same. It's going to be an aberration. So I'm glad that halfway this is already happening and you can see and identify area of improvement and how you are relating with these principles. So that's good to hear. Okay, maybe just on a final note, maybe just on a final note, we may not necessarily have to discuss about this, but just to because we just finished 2 weeks ago talking about relationship, and I think it's good that you further explore this, especially going back to EQ. You need to imagine if you have noticed any significant change in the way you engage and interact with people in your workplace, in your community, or those of us that use public bus, how you have been able to control aggression, how you have been able to comport yourself and always be at the best, exhibiting your strength rather, not your weakness. Okay. And if at all there are areas where you are still struggling, okay, how have you been able to identify those struggles? And the question is, what are you going to do about them? Because one of the challenges I have with people is when you know your challenges, when you know your struggles, when you know your weaknesses and you do nothing about it, at the end of the day, it becomes a major albatross that pull people down. Someone who is very weak when it comes to uh, uh, um, what's it called now? When it comes to integrity, lack integrity, cannot be trusted, right? And hearing that you need to seize opportunity in leadership and all of that, and you see an opportunity for you to assume a role in keeping money, and you jump at it, that for me is more than a temptation. It's just a suicide mission, right? So you need to evaluate your life holistically and be sure that as you're relating with people, you are projecting your strength and not your weakness. Just see every engagement and every interaction as being interviewed, as you attending an interview. Okay, either with someone you know or with someone you don't know. Sometimes you go to a company you've applied for or organization you apply for and you want to be interviewed. You end up meeting someone as someone you've known before. Will you say because you know the person should not conduct the interview for you? They will still interview you. It might just be a walkover eventually, but that formal interview will still happen. It might just be a gist session or whatever, but it will still gonna happen. So every day you live as you interact with people, your colleagues, your boss, your subordinates, your team members, your community, neighbors in your neighborhood, or even within your nuclear family, your close ties, your needs and kids and all of that, as you relate with them, see each interaction, see each engagement as a way that you are being interviewed. So do you want to showcase your strength or you want to prove that you are weak, right? And in showing weakness, you know what I used to tell people when they display their weakness, I was just like, this is just sheer foolishness. And like I always tell people, saying that is not just you abusing someone, it's just a compliment. I'm just telling them the reality of what they are displaying. It's just like when you see a madman walking on the street, will you tell the madman that he's not mad? He's mad, even though he may not understand, but it's just the reality. So that's exactly what you don't want people to see as a mad person when you're engaging and interacting. So that's part of what you need to also reflect on to know those areas of struggles because they are just indication that those weaknesses are still real. And the question is, what are you going to do about them as you are planning for your continuous growth and continuous development and all of that? So these are part of the things you need to really consider as well. So the last person that hasn't spoken is Utman. So Utman, can we hear from you? From all the questions I've asked for reflection. So which direction do you want to go in sharing with us? Hello, Utman, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
Yes, sir. Can
great.
you good
Good
evening, sir?
evening. Good
Good evening,
evening.
everyone. Sorry, sir. I've
Go
been,
ahead.
I don't know what happened. I don't know. Service is not stable.
Oh, really? But are you with us? Do you really understand what we're doing? We are doing reflection and trying to peruse on all the conversation from the first week till the end of the third week, right? Before we move into the fourth week, we want to see progress. We want to see how far we're growing. That's what the reflection is all about. And I've asked a number of questions in different areas across the different principles we've spoken about. So everyone has shared, only you remain. And I'm like, can we have a feedback from you? How has the journey been? All the principles, the assignment you've done, the assessment, how have they impacted you, in terms of your decision on the skills you need to learn? How have you been interacting with people? So, I mean, let's just get a feedback from you. Do you get that, Utman? Okay, maybe he's not in a place to speak because you are still muted.
Hello?
Yeah, Utman.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I
Oh,
can.
I think I was muted. Okay, sir.
You are muted again. If you can hear me,
Hello?
yeah, you're muted. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. As to me, how the session has been impactful and all encompassing. Actually, I would say you've, okay, I don't know. Let me say it this way. I don't know how to put it, but you really pour a lot. And what I see is that when to sit down calmly and listen over and over again to grab more lesson from the session. A lot has been said, seriously. And then was another thing that just of it now. I think okay, 2 days ago, I just imagining that there's one thing I need to improve on. Actually, I had a goal of public speaking, and the major reason for that is that because of my speech, I do call it speech impediment, my stammering actually. So I'm working on it. So I'm trying to first just do something about forcing myself, like to win over it. That I need to actually I want to go into public speaking so that I can conquer the fear, being nervous, being anxious, all those things. So I can conquer it. So I say that part as a goal, but it's one of the last part of my goal actually. So just come to me that I need to learn something now, which is effective communication. Sometimes I'll do it to be okay, but I see that most of the times I don't really like play it well whenever I'm speaking with people. Sometimes and actually it's just most of the times it's always between maybe when I'm speaking with somebody who's older or a boss. The thing I'm trying to do is that now try to set at least in a day or at least a day, and now I'm just trying to add that to my goal now. At least I will watch a video, one or two videos at least in a day on YouTube discussing about effective communication. So that's my plan for on that now because when we talk about it, actually it does not occur to me very well that I need to improve on, I need to just occur to me that I need to improve on the aspect in that aspect. And then in the lesson when we talk about networking, seriously, it's really drive me into a more having a more horizon about networking. compared to what I had in mind before. Actually, I believe in it's working. As it is really has been working. Even this scenario, now, meeting you, I met you at what's it called, landmark last year when I attended Big Five Consult. That was my first time of attending the program, and I met you. I listened to your talk. It was really, really, really touching. Like it was really touching. It's really, I feel that this is something that I want to go into, like public speaking. The way you speak, the way you table down certain things, your experiences, I really love it. So that's one of the major things that I go on LinkedIn, like connect with you, and that's where I was able to what's it called, I got to get this session through LinkedIn. So I was very happy about that. And then so about that is working now. So it's the when you talk about this in the session, when you mention about networking locally and then going internationally as well. So it opened my mind that I've confined myself before into like networking just for actually for benefit. But when you talk about it, it opened my mind to other things about networking. I was really grateful for that. So there are a lot of things I need to see, but I don't know. And then okay, so I don't know. So for me, that the session has been really impactful. And though for the past few days now, I've not been stable here. Sometimes network, sometimes some task overnight and all that. But thank you very much, sir. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Wow, awesome. I'm happy that you're able to find words to express yourself this evening. And what I will tell you is, I can easily connect with your struggle because I've been there. I think I shared this on two different occasions along this journey of how I struggled with stuttering, speech disorder, to the point that growing up, I lost confidence in myself. But hey, I got my groove and I was able to um, overcome it. Not 100%, because if you've worked with me or you're working with me, you would know at the point when I still experience some form of stuttering. But hey, it's something that you can overcome. If you follow through all the principles I've laid, starting from day one about self-awareness, knowing your personality type and all of that, is something that you can always grow above. It just made me remember those times when I was researching and trying to learn more about, some of these things, how to overcome the structuring stuff. I came across some powerful world leaders, powerful world leaders who turned out to become orators. They turned out to become great writers. Their speeches, their public speeches still resonate up to now. In fact, some of their quotable quotes, some of us still quote them up to now. I'm sure you must have heard about the Prime Minister of Britain, former Prime Minister of Britain, Winston Churchill, right? You must have heard about that man. If not, you can go and read more about him. Very, very powerful, and his impact still resonates up to now. Churchill was a stammerer. He was a stammerer. How many of us know that Joe Biden, the president, immediately past president of the United States, is a stammerer?
Wow.
Joe Biden. Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, you need to read for you to be able to see the realities in this. Joe Biden is a stammerer. You know, for us who has a very high EQ, it's easier for us to be able to dissect and discern this. When you're engaging people, you easily know. That's why Joe Biden don't speak too much, right? He doesn't speak too much. But hey, in order for him to be able to get command of his words, and of course, coupled with old age, with the old age now, he's now becoming more reflective, So, I mean, it's to tell you that it is not really a weakness, except you're unable to deal with it or you leave it. And that's why that was part of what I was saying, that if you're not growing, you are stagnant, you are doing yourself more harm than good. Because that was why I had to leave my shelves. There's this other powerful, gospel musician. I'm sure you must have heard about him growing up, because I used to listen to his song a lot. He's a rock and roll musician, Andre Crouch. I don't know anybody if you know him. Andre Crouch, very powerful rock and roll musician. The day I got to read and learned about him that he was also a stammerer, I'm like, this cannot be possible. So you need to really, I can go on and on and give you even some orators, powerful orators, that emerged as world leaders, that they are stammerers, but you would not know, because they were able to learn the skill on how to have a command of of not allowing that um, weakness to subdue their growth and hinder them, in emerging as a successful leader. So it's something you can actually achieve. It's something you can work on, if you don't give up on yourself, and this is just the beginning. You have started the journey, so don't give up, don't end, know your purpose, be willing to pursue it. And in the process, your passion and the interest that is driving you from within will subdue it. It's just going to happen by default. It's going to subdue it, and you won't know when you find that confidence and groove for you to be able to find some sense of eloquence in articulating your thoughts. Because medically or psychologically, this impairment has to do with your faculty. That's why they call it disorder. It has to do with the way I've forgotten the part of the brain that works on speech, the way it functions. So that means that you can recode it, you can rewrite it. The more you practice, the more you work on it, the more you learn, the more books you read, the more knowledge you acquire. It fixes that disorderliness. It fixes, the misalignment that happened within that position. So you always want to find an expression, and the more you know, the more people want to definitely listen to it. So, I mean, these are just the simple ways by which you can address this thing hands-on, and then you keep building on it. So, just to let you know, that is something you can. Yeah, thanks. That's the faith, and that's the spirit. You can definitely overcome it, and I would like to hear your success story on this eventually. So, guys, this is actually what we're here to do today, and I think it's worth it that we reflect before we jump into. So from tomorrow, we'll start looking at business and entrepreneurship. So for those of us that are having challenges in that area, we're going to be looking at how to fix our struggles and challenges, when it comes to business, when it comes to, applying all these principles in productivity, in bringing out some real turnaround for ourselves. Okay, so we're going to stop here, and we'll catch again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Yeah, good night.
Thank you so much, sir. Good night, everyone.